Hey everyone, hope you're doing really well. Don't be too despondent and don't be too depressed about what's going on in the world at the moment. You know that scripture where it says, lift your heads up because your deliverance is getting near? That's something to bear in mind. Yes, there's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of world leaders that you can't trust. But let me explain to you with these illustrations what's happening. You see the back picture where you've got the beast? Well, consider them man's fighting nations in the time of the end. They're known as Gog and Magog, and they are hostile and they're warring. You see it going on right now. You see Antonio, the Secretary General of the United Nations. Well, all the United Nations is a failed institution from their earlier days when they were the League of Nations. They changed their name from the League of Nations because the war started. And what were an organization that was supposed to represent? Peace. So when peace didn't occur, they changed their name after the war to the United Nations. But this is how it works. The beast wages war, does exactly what it wants, fights whatever nation it wants. The United Nations, see if I can get hold of that image and pull it across like that, stands there like a fascia, like a board, like a shop front, so that the beast can hide behind. They say eloquent words. They say very, very lovely things that you want to hear on a microphone. Tonight, an example of it. Unfortunately, they didn't take any questions from the world's media, but they said very eloquent things about the state of what's going on in Gaza. We all feel for the children and we feel for the innocent that die in any war. But he is a face that the beast pushes to the front so that they can continue their horrendous activities. And he's that face and that fascia and that shop front to block out what they're doing. So can I expand it and make it bigger than what it is? Well, if I can, yeah, I can do that. So basically, he covers up the beast activities like that. So you can no longer see what the beast is doing, but the beast is still continuing in war, immoral wars. It's still killing their brothers in warfare. But the United Nations is that face that appeases, that says nice things at appropriate times. Let's pull him back to normal, because I made him look awfully fat in the face there, didn't I? Poor Antonio, getting restructured like that. And that's how it works. That's what's happening in the time of the end. So let's put him back into where he was, over here. And of course, you've got Benjamin, who's part of the beast system. They're not a special nation used by God. That's spiritual Israel that's the special one, the one in which God will protect at the end. He's not going to protect physical Israel, that is a warring nation, because there's no difference between what Benjamin's been doing and what Putin's been doing. They're still dictators of war, and they kill innocent people. Putin's doing it. The Assad regime did it. Idi Amin did it. Hitler did it. Genghis Khan did it. They're all part of the beast system throughout history. So the principal thing to remember is that a Christian, a true Christian, doesn't kill his brother. He doesn't lift up arms against his brother in warfare. A true Christian doesn't salute the flag. has no allegiance to man's fighting nations. That's why sometimes they have to become a conscientious objector for that reason. I just want you to see clearly what's been happening right now. Yes, I enjoyed listening to Antonio's speech, but at the end of the day, it's just words. And we can all write down on a paper eloquent words and just parrot fashion those words off to the watching world. We can all do it. But notice how he did not want to take any questions. He did not really want to engage or represent what peace was all about. He's got everybody fooled, hasn't he? Almost had me fooled. And then I realised that the United Nations is the image of the beast and has always been the image of the beast. And if it's an image, it is something that they push forward for the eyes to focus on while they carry out horrendous atrocities behind them. And that's why I try to show you how he stands in front of the warring nations or the beast and says lovely things at appropriate times. But it makes no difference because wars will still go on. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think they have to, at some point, make a declaration, what I would call a pseudo-declaration of peace. I think that they're probably working on it now. A pseudo-declaration that they've brought peace to the world. After all, the organisation is supposed to stand for peace. They've been working towards it, or so they tell you. But their hands are tied. So the United Nations have no teeth. If they're only that shop front, something that is a masquerade, then they have no real power, because the real power is always hiding behind them. And that is the warring nations known as Gog and Magog, of which Benjamin and his IDF are part of. How confident am I that the IDF and Benjamin's army and Putin's army, how confident am I that none of these are special? Because the scriptures clearly say that Gog and Magog, man's warring and hostile fighting nations, will be dragged. So let's push him to one side again. So this beast here and these warring nations will be dragged, according to scripture, to the place that we know in Hebrew as Armageddon. Now look around and see what's happening in the world right now. Do you identify with what you're seeing, with what the scriptures have foretold? If so, then what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it?